All right, everybody. I'm Matt Rosenthal. I'm the CEO of MindCore Technologies, but I'm also the host of Digging In. And on today's episode of Digging In, I had an unbelievable guest. This guest is a personal coach of mine. He's the guy that is behind the scenes helping me really get this podcast going. Took me from, I don't know what I'm doing, to here's how you do it, to 20 episodes. Now we're going to episode 40. I mean, we're cranking, and this guy is the guy behind it. His name is Rob Cressy. He's an entrepreneur. He's a personal coach. He's a business coach. He is a stand-up comedian. He does improv. And the thing is, he takes all of that, puts it all together, and he's a creator. And that's really what he is. He's a creator. So it's an awesome show. Stay to the end. You've got to watch the entire episode. There's so much value. There's so much information. You're going to want to do push-ups, jumping jacks, and hop on the Peloton while this guy is talking, because he's such high energy and he's got so much value. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and please click the subscribe button down below, hit the bell button, make sure you select all, make sure that you are taking in all of our content. It's extremely, extremely important so that I can bring more of this to you. All right. Thank you. All right, everybody. Today we have Rob Cressy. Rob Cressy. This guy is a superstar. And if you are thinking of starting a podcast, or you've been too scared to start a podcast, we are going to dig in today. This guy's going to talk about everything that you need to know about being successful with a podcast. So, Rob, let's jump right into it. First of all, I want you to talk to me about your background. Tell me who you are. Tell me about how you got into this. Who's Rob Cressy?
So Rob Cressy is a lot of things. I am full of love. I am abundantly generous. I am in flow. I believe in the ability to create myself, but I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a creator. I'm a coach. And how in the world did I get here? Well, over a decade ago, I quit my digital ad sales job, where I was very successful at, but I didn't wake up every day looking forward to slinging banner ads and text links. And I quit my job and went to zero. And when you go to $0 overnight, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, everything is on me right now. So it's when I became self-aware, adopted a growth mindset. And someone said to me, Rob, if you ever hope to get paid to do what you love, you better be doing it already. I was like, all right, well, I want to get paid to talk about sports for a living. So how in the world do you do that? Well, you create a podcast, you become a host, you get on camera, you learn audio and video editing, social media marketing, throwing events, apparel, everything. And for me, I saw content creation and podcasting specifically, learning that as the gateway to accomplishing my dreams. So what I did is 30 minutes or 1 hour at a time every single day for a decade, I consistently taught myself everything that I now know how to do today.
You know, watching you talk about it, and I've known you for a while now, the cool thing is you're like legit, you're passionate about this stuff. Like when you talk to people about it, it's not like you're just going down a list of, okay, here's what you do this, you do that. And I know because I've started a podcast and I've done, like, you love this stuff, right? I mean, I can feel it.
Well, it's my dream. It's the simplest why ever. It's because I have that connection. So when I look at people who struggle to launch a podcast, they've got this idea, and so many people have an idea. And I always chuckle inside. I'm like, oh, hey, Matt, have you ever thought about creating a podcast? Yeah, for the last year and a half. And I'm like, oh, this person's not going to be working with me. Well, why? Because I took immediate action. The second that it was like, how do I get my job that I dream of? Well, you create that. And so many people want the opportunity to come to them. When I say, well, screw that, I'm going to create the opportunity, and I am the opportunity. So I completely reverse engineer everything from a success standpoint. I don't care if it's podcasting or mindset or personal growth and development. So the reason I'm so passionate about it is because this is who I am. I live this. I've seen the results because I know what it's like to work in a Fifth Third Bank call center, slinging home equity loans, making $10 an hour in a cube farm. I know what it's like to sling advertising for an obituary website. I was Peter from Office Space. I hated my job. I came in 7 minutes late, left 7 minutes early. I looked forward to the weekends. I do all that I do because I know what it's like to not live the life I currently do.
You know, something along those lines, right? So maybe you've heard this said to you before. People say to me all the time, like, why are you doing this show that you do? Like, what are you getting out of it? Like, are you making money? Like, how are you monetizing this thing? And it's so interesting because I mean, you and I talk every so often about, yeah, maybe down the road that might be something, but that's not even the point, right? So it's a hard question to answer at first because pretty much that's what everybody asks me. You might get something similar, although you've been at this for a while, so maybe you get it less now. But it becomes like, all right, how do I explain to this person that I just want to help other people learn from my mistakes, spread the word, and it's just like paying it forward, because straight up the people that are asking me that, they don't get it. They just like, how can you make money from this? Right? That's not really the point.
It's a loser question. Anytime somebody asks that, I'm like, you're a freaking loser. Well, why is that? Because the majority of the people in the world think that the model of success is only financial. So therefore, everything that I do is a transaction. If Rob or Matt does one podcast, will tell me the direct ROI on this. Well, people, what is it? They underestimate what they can, or they overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. And I'm rolling past the decade mark on some of this stuff. So for everyone who's like, Rob, how in the world are you monetizing what you're doing? I'm like, an infinite amount of ways. One, the relationships that I'm creating. Two, the impact that I'm creating as a positive force for good in the world. I don't care if nothing else happens. I'm someone who has never watched the news a day in my life. Why? Because I live a life of positivity and I say, what is going to get me close to my goals? And I look at that, I'm like, that's going to take me further away from my goals. So just by simple design of you and I having a podcast and spreading good vibes and inspiration and positive personal development to others, we are making the world a better place compared to all that other crap that is thrown out there into the world. And I'm a big believer in karma. Good in, good out. Bad in, bad out. So by design, if you and I do this once, twice, or in my case, 1,000 times, do you believe something good is going to happen over the course of 1,000 episodes? And the answer is unquestionably yes, because Matt, the reason you and I are talking right this second is because a decade ago, I made the decision to say, I'm all into my dreams. And that dream includes teaching myself podcasting to where I became the expert so I can help empower people to be a more powerful creator. Matt, you and I working together is not about podcasting. It's about giving you a tool that you have in your tool belt to make you a more powerful creator, to create growth and impact in your life. Because so many people are short-sighted and just see today without realizing what can actually be done. Because Matt, I know you're creating an amazing brand. I know you are going to do absolutely amazing things. And you can't get to episode 1,000 without getting to episode 3.
I can't write as fast as you're talking, man. Hold on. So you just delivered some gold, right? So impact is like one of the answers I go with because it's true. Right. So you've been doing it for 10 years. You've had tremendous impact. Like anybody's life you've touched, anybody who's seen your work, who hasn't actually met you, you've still touched them. That's what I try to explain to people. That's what I'm here. That's what you're saying to me. And empowering people is beautiful. That's a beautiful way to put it. Right. Because that is the whole point. So I think that from my perspective, going into starting a show or doing a podcast with the idea that I'm going to do this to make money, inherently, you're not going to make money. Right? Because you got your priorities backwards. It's what you just said. It's an impact. It's empowering people. And it's like, it's about service. And that's the whole point. You've got something to say. You say what you have to say. And the point of saying it is there's people that want to hear it and need to hear it. And they're attracted to you. And by the way, just for the record, we did not plan the Paisley shirts. Okay. We got to go on record as saying this. Okay. We live in different sides of the state.
Well, yeah. So I was the MC of a marketing conference in New York a few years ago, and they had Q&A. And this woman stood up and said, why would anyone care to listen to what I have to say on a podcast? And you know what the answer is? If you have something inside of you that can help even one person, it is your duty to share it with the world. Because what stops most people from sharing video or podcast? Oh my God, I don't know what everybody's going to think about this. They immediately allow their bitch voice to start letting the judgment stop them from doing that. But what I've learned is if all of a sudden you feel kind of uncomfortable, that is your sign to say, wait a second, can I help somebody else by sharing this? And I'm going to share some philosophical things around podcasting in brand building that will help anyone. So, number one, everything you do is an opportunity to create a positive brand interaction. So, throw that, how are you going to monetize? Whatever. Everything's a positive brand interaction. So it becomes drip of Matt, drip of Matt, drip of Matt, drip of Matt. Here comes Matt. Here comes Matt. Boom. Positive, positive, positive. And everything you do is a reflection of your brand. So while we're giving the drip of Matt, now Matt is showing up in a certain way. So when everyone's like, how in the world are you going to do something with this? Well, guess what? I'm showing it up and figuring it out on the fly. So as an entrepreneur by design, I build the airplane, fly the airplane, and sell seats on the airplane all at the same time when everybody else is saying, oh my God, how in the world are you going to do this? Not worried about that.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. You know, it brings up, so there's people out there that, so this is a passion for you, right? This is a passion. So in a way, you've been working on it for a long time, but because it's such a passion, it isn't necessarily work, right? Even though you work hard, you work your ass off, you put in like endless amounts of time. Like you and I are the same. We don't watch the clock. It's just like it's a labor of love. But along the way, you've had success and you've had failure. Tell me about some failures you've had along the way that are actually part of that information that you're able to spread where you empower other people, right? Because you've learned lessons. What comes to mind?
Well, I can give you an endless amount of things. Let's call it the first 30 years of my life would, as I look back on this, I would consider it a failure based on what I know now, where I was money driven and I did a job that I did not like. So which of the two lives would you rather have? Be someone who wakes up every day, not excited about what they're about to do for the majority of their life, but you make a crap ton of money, or the person who on the very next day quits their job and makes $0 and says, holy crap, Batman, I can do whatever I want with my life right now forever. So I know what it's like to, well, one, when I graduated college, I didn't have a job for a year and a half and I was dead broke and lived off my credit card. I actually paid rent with my credit card for a year and a half. So I know what it's like to be dead broke. I know what it's also like to have a crap ton of money. And of course, I would much rather have the crap ton of money. But the shift in the quadrants become, can you make a crap ton of money while also loving what you do? So that's where the shift happened for me. I had to cut the cord and go to zero to say, all right, now I've got to build myself up, my personal development, my growth, my mindset, how I'm showing up in the world every single day. I'll give you an example of actually my lowest moment, because I think this is something that you would love, that very few people in the world know this, because I don't talk about this stuff a ton. So this is, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 years ago in Chicago. So as the podcasting side of things grew, my company was Bacon Sports, and we were a sports publisher creating original sports comedy content. And I always knew the power of content and the power of community. So we created original content that made people laugh. And I was like, well, I want to take this audience that we have built online and engage them offline. So I'm like, all right, what goes well with bacon and sports? I was like, beer. So all of a sudden I created the Bacon Sports and Beer Celebration, where we got 20 craft breweries, 20 local Chicago restaurants to serve bacon-inspired dishes. We had Nerf games, Pop-A-Shot, a DJ, a photo booth. It was what we called the hat trick of awesomeness. And I went in, rented one of the largest venues in Chicago, Union Station. It's something that cost me, I don't know, it was like $15,000 to rent this venue. And I'd never thrown an event in my entire life before. Took me 9 months to plan full time, getting the vendors, marketing, doing all of this. And it is 6 days or 5 days before the event is about to go. And to put this into perspective, this venue holds 1,000 people. So my standard is we're going to pack this bad boy with 1,000 people in here. And I've never done this before, never in my life. Yeah. So I rent this, and 5 or 6 days before, there are less than 100 tickets sold. And I've probably got, I don't know, 35 grand already put into this, thrown this event.
Oh, wow.
And I remember in my apartment in Chicago being just falling to the ground, crying to my wife because I was all in, like as all in as a human could possibly go. And I just was not seeing the results of my labor. And I was like, what can I do? And I was literally willing to do anything. And it was the lowest moment of my entrepreneurial journey where I didn't know what to do, where I'm an action-oriented person who creates his own path and his own road. And I've got all of this money on the line, but who cares about that? It's the pride and the love of what I've created, and what I want to create as an experience for everyone. And I felt so low and empty. And it was like this moment where I was just so sad. And what I didn't know, which of course comes with experience, is when are the majority of tickets sold to an event? And it is usually within the 48 hours beforehand. Well, I was wound so tight, one, having never done this before, and two, the amount of money that was on the line and all that I'd put into this, that, all right, I picked myself off and said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So what I did is I went and got a sign, and I went down to the train station at Merchandise Mart, which is where the biggest offices are in Chicago. And I stood out there and I danced next to my sign from 5 a.m. until 10 a.m. so that every single person who got off that train, which is just nonstop commuters, young professionals, saw the sign of this. And what it was is me proving to myself that I was willing to do everything humanly possible to sell tickets to this venue. Do I know if that sold any tickets? No, I don't, because it might not have. But it proved to myself that I was willing to do anything. Well, fast forward to 48 hours before the event, and guess what? Here come the ticket sales. And I'm proud to report that we had about 750 people who attended the event, and we packed it. And it was one of the most amazing experiences ever, because we brought together three of the greatest things in life: bacon, sports, and beer. And we did so in a way that was a win-win situation for everyone. And I wanted to share that story because it was the lowest moment of my entrepreneurial journey. And it would have been easy for me to give up and just say, you know what, this isn't for me and there's nothing I can do about this. But I proved to myself that I was willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. And this is something that sits through me into perpetuity, because anytime I'm faced with adversity, I just say to myself, Rob, are you willing to do whatever it takes to succeed? And the answer 100% out of 100 is yes.
That's a great story. And I think that's symbolic of the idea of small wins over and over and over and over. That's a big win. That's a huge win. But the big ones and the small ones over and over, it does program your brain subconsciously to just know that even in the most difficult of situations, you have the ability to move through it. Time, patience, persistence, grit, fortitude, right? And that's really what it was. But you can push yourself pretty far, and you know that no matter what happens, you are capable, and you don't know how it's going to happen, but you know that it will happen, of having a positive outcome. And it's a shame that so many people, especially with how kind of messed up things are around us, are so caught up in being victims and so caught up in like kind of having that losing mentality, when in reality, anybody can take small steps, one step, have a little win, and just build massive amounts of confidence, you know?
Well, yeah, what is missing in all of this is presence. So most people focus on one of two things: the past or the future, so much so that they don't live in the moment right now. And the podcast that I host is called Best Year Ever. And it is a podcast designed to inspire growth and impact so you can create your best year ever. And this is a philosophy of it. It's a mindset. It's a way of being. How do you create the best year ever? You create the best month ever, best week ever, day ever, hour
Right.
ever, minute ever, moment ever. And all of a sudden, once you realize this, that we have the opportunity to control the story that we tell ourselves in the moment without saying, oh my God, this is what happened to me, and I've got this victim mentality, or, oh my God, I've got a scarcity mindset and not enoughness of what's going to happen in the future, without realizing, what can I do right this second to be the best version of myself, or to create whatever it is that I want in my life? And then inevitably, when you get off course, what you want to do, and this is philosophically how I coach, is all around what is your process for when you get off center, when you no longer are working on your presence and you're feeling judgment around yourself, or you've got that feeling in you where it's heavy, or you're like, I'm just not making the progress. You're focusing on the wrong story. Instead of I'm not making the progress, it's what can I do right this second to move forward on the thing that I want to accomplish. And remember, we are in control of every single aspect of our lives. So if you focus on the moment, great things will happen.
We are. Anthony, pause for a sec. The light popped on. I got to go turn it off. But don't pause, but make a note. I wasn't even moving this time. All right, I'm back. I got to put a piece of tape over that. Let's pick up right there because there was something I want to talk about right there. Where was I? Give me a second. Yes. So, Anthony, you ready? Okay. So, Rob, right there, what you were just saying, it actually sounds very, very much like what Tony Robbins talks about. You control your state, but you can control your story. And just to add on to what you said, you can unless there's something wrong with you, which is possible. But if that's not the case, you can control your thoughts. Like anybody can. It may be more difficult, but depending on the story that's running and the program that's running. But if you want a different outcome in any case, it could be something small, it could be something big. If you want to reach your dreams, if you want to reach your goals, you see whatever your potential is, you have to imagine it first, and then you have these beliefs. And from there, the second that you're able to have those thoughts and then execute, anything is possible. There's nothing you can't do, nothing you can't achieve. And it's 100% true. I want to segue from that into, so what I know of you, and you've worked very hard at this. You're an entrepreneur. You've alluded a few times to the fact that you are a coach and you're very good at it. You are a very experienced person with branding, marketing, but there's something that everybody right now is thinking about. Everybody either watches a podcast listens to a podcast or watches a show, or in the case of what we do, we have a show that becomes a podcast. So many people have this attitude, I can't do that. But when you think about how do you actually get known, or how do you actually reach your own potential? And or how do you just spread the word? How do you spread the word? To our point earlier, how do you have an impact? How do you reach people? How do you spread the message? What is the thing that stops people, for the most part, and all your experience and all your expertise, from actually doing it, from actually putting their voice out there?
It's the simplest thing. And I've said this a bajillion times. All you have to do is answer one question. Are you interested, or are you committed? People who are interested, I've thought about this for a year. I've got such a good idea for a podcast. Cool. What have you done about it? Oh, nothing, Rob. Actually, the timing's not right. And what always makes me laugh is I think about pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and then we'll call it post-main pandemic. So it'd be like, hey, Matt, you've thought about this podcast for a while. Why haven't you done it? You know what, Rob? The timing just isn't right now. I've just got so much going on. Cool. I'll check back with you in a little bit. Then I hit you back up and it's, hey, Matt, what's going on? Oh, timing's not right. We're in the middle of the pandemic. Just not a good time.
Never right.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
like going on a diet. There's never a good time. Just do it.
They masquerade the excuse that somehow time is the problem. And speaking of this, one of the things that I've done to throw this excuse in the trash for the rest of my life, I have a declaration that I say every single day. I have more than enough time to get everything done. Imagine living where time is never the excuse, because all it is an excuse. So that's just a side note. So back to the other thing, interested or committed. People who are successful at podcasting, and Matt, you have this in spades. And this is why you are amazing at what you do, because you are committed. I was committed when they said, Rob, your dreams of working in sports is on the other end of teaching yourself podcasting. I'm like, cool, I got it. I'm all in. When you're committed, you're no longer talking about, I can't do this. The key is all you've got to do is get to the launch of the podcast. That is literally it. So in everyone's mind, they think they're going to be Joe Rogan. They're like, you know what? I want to wake up every day and speak to the coolest people in the world for 3 hours and make millions of bucks like Joe Rogan. I'm like, cool. But here's the problem. Most people don't see to the end of getting to the podcast launch. There's 27 steps to go from zero to launching your podcast. Is it hard? No. There's just 27 steps. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And most people aren't willing to commit and go all in to accomplish each of those different steps. So you say, all right, Matt, how do we guarantee these steps are done? You only have two options for what it is if you want to launch a podcast. One, you take my route and you teach yourself. And guess what? It's clunky. I didn't know what I was doing. And the only reason I kept going was because my dreams were attached to it. But most people give up because I was never on camera. I knew nothing about audio or video editing, and all those self-limiting beliefs of like, oh, I don't know how to edit. I'm not going to do this. Boom. That's what stops them. And when you don't know how to do something, that's where the negative momentum comes. Or option number two, you find someone who knows how to do it to show you the way. It's why I exist. It says, wait a second, I've already done this 1,000 times. Let me fast track your success by giving you the blueprint so you don't have to wake up in the morning and say what to do next. Boom. You commit to getting that launched in 15 days, 30 days, whatever it is that you want. Then you have the launch of the podcast. Congratulations. Now you actually have an at-bat in the game. Most people are all just being like, oh, I don't know what to do. They're not even in the game.
I mean, I hear you. There's so many excuses. I don't know. I feel like the excuses come out of either fear or worry. And frankly, I think of a lot of it is I'm not good enough. I don't know what to talk about. I'm not going to be good on camera. It's all these different things. And there's so much you got to push through there. And it is a lot. But if you want to do the ultimate service, which is to get your word out there, right? Like we do these shows, and at the end of the day, what is it about? I mean, we're bringing something out today. We're going to get to it in a minute, which is we're going to try and inspire people who have this idea, who actually want to start a show. We're going to tell them how to do it. We're going to give them this top 6 things they need to do to have a great podcast. And you've already kind of touched on many of them. But in order for that to even happen, you kind of have to get out of your own way. Like, you know my story. Before I met you, I think it was like 3 years I was messing around with the idea. I was shooting videos. I was afraid to get on camera. I didn't want to talk. It was like all this judgment stuff. And at a certain point, I'm just like, you know what? I've made so many mistakes, and I've also been successful. And to your point before, I know what it's like to have no money for most of my life. And I know what it's like to have money. And it's a hell of a lot more fun to have money. There's no shame in it. Everybody should have money, should have fun, and should have that part of their life be fulfilling. So why not spread the word? Like, why? Because I don't want to get on camera or like speak and, because I'm afraid of what somebody's going to say. That was the hardest thing for me. But once I got past that, and you and I started working together, and it did take 6 months, right? It took 6 months, right? But it's so much commitment and so much dedication. And this is the biggest thing. It's a very creative process. And I saved this for last when I was mentioning all the things that you do and that you're good at. The ultimate thing what I love about you, which is why I love hanging with you and talking with you and creating with you, is because you're just a creator. And underneath it all, I'm not artistic, but I'm creative, extremely creative. And that's what I do for my clients too. It's like you have creative solutions, like you see things other people don't see. This is such a creative outlet. And it's so cool to be able to get on and have people on, have you on, and just go see where it goes, and just know, hey, we're going to deliver one thing no matter where this conversation goes. And for today, it's going to be 6 things you need to know to have a great podcast. But in the midst of it, we're just shooting this shit and being creative. And you're super creative. And anybody, I think anybody's got that side of them where they just like, if you can inspire other people and you can share information, and it's fun to create that, right?
Well, it's amazingly fun. And that's why we do it. But the reason we wanted to do this is because this is fun. So here's the thing that is often not seen is you are building a platform or a stage for yourself. So this is your opportunity to showcase what you do. Why in the world would anybody care about what I have to say? It's because this is your opportunity to give people the opportunity to care about what you have to say, and you can do anything you want with it. So it's a tool in your tool belt. So when you think about growth and impact, you say, what are the ways that I can do this? Well, you can go down to a busy intersection and just start talking to everybody. Boom, you can do that. Or you can go down to creating your own busy intersection by having your own platform that you're in charge of. Because I think what so many people miss is they love being on Instagram and Facebook and creating on there. But here's what people fail to realize. Those are just distribution platforms that anyone who's been doing this long enough knows. Facebook goes from, oh, all the organic reach in the world to, we're going to cut that off and be almost nothing. Now we want you to pay for all of your organic reach. And if you built your house on that platform, you're like, ruh-roh. Well, imagine you now saying, I'm going to create a podcast where my subscribers all of a sudden aren't going to have to like pay $50 to hear my podcast. No, you subscribe to my podcast, you get the opportunity every time, drip of Rob and Matt, drip of Rob and Matt. So it's a platform that you build for yourself. And then as Matt, you and I get more creative and think bigger with our brands, it's like, well, what else can I do with this? And you're like, well, let's record the video. Well, we're doing that already. Cool. Now we've got this to go to YouTube and distribute on all the other platforms. But then you're like, but Rob, there's just so much gold within all of these podcasts. I was like, I know. What are we going to do about this? Boom. Let's work with a team and chop up all the good content into little micro digestible nuggets that will distribute on as many different platforms as we want, as all these little roads to go deeper into Matt, because we both know that people consume micro content more than they do the longer stuff. So by design, we're creating a platform that allows us to build relationships with others on both a short-term and a long-term basis. And we can get little micro drips all the way to deep relationships and friendships.
100%. All right, I want to hear the 6 things. Give me the 6 things that somebody, actually, I want to say something first. People do want to hear what other people have to say. So if you think that what you have to say isn't important, that is the biggest problem, right? There's so many people on this planet, and excuse me, and there are definitely people that want to hear other people's story. Somebody wants to hear my story, inevitably. So just me putting that out there with the intention of reaching people and just inspiring and motivating and helping, it will naturally attract just those people who want to hear my story, people that connect. So if you've got something to say, you should say it. You should come up with a format and you should put it out there. And don't put it out there because you want to make money. Put it out there because you want to help other people. So with that being said, 6 things you need to have for a great podcast.
Well, number 1 is commitment. We already talked about that. Be all in on, committed to making this happen. And remember, commitment is focus. It's the micro moment. It doesn't mean you need to do this for your living. It just means when you are showing up to do your podcast, you are showing up to do your podcast. But more importantly, you are committed during the podcast launch. So that would, without a doubt, be number 1.
And I will tell you, I'm going to chime in on each of these because I've gone through this process with you. You were instrumental in me getting this thing off the ground. And 100%, it was you. I'm a committed person, but in the midst of the busyness of life and running a business and everything else that I do, and this applies to anybody else, you do have to have a commitment. You have to say, look, I'm doing this. I'm doing it, and that's it. So 100%. What's number 2?
So number 2, get to episode 20. And Matt, this is something that we've been working together on. So the amount of growth that you are going to see from episode 1 to episode 20 will be just infinite growth. And the example I always like to give is you don't learn how to ride a bike and expect to be popping wheelies on day number 2. Yet somehow we as podcasters are like, oh, I got this. I'm already Joe Rogan the second I step up to the microphone. Not exactly. And your first episodes are going to be your worst episodes. So embrace it. So now you want to have a mindset of how quickly can I get to episode 20, because you are going to get your reps. And when you're trained correctly, you will say, what can I do to get better? You will self-audit yourself and you're like, oh, I know I can do this. And this isn't like a meticulous, I'm getting rid of ahs and ums. No, that's dumb. We're talking about things of the way that you show up, your professionalism. Hey, I want to get better at everything that I'm doing.
100%. That's a great metric too, because when you first mentioned it to me, I'm like, what's 20? But I think we passed. We're at 23 or 24 now. And there's no question. I look back at the first one, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that's what I was doing. Every one, it gets a little better, a little better, a little better. And that's a fun part of the creative process. Like that in and of itself is like, you have total control over observing yourself and improving. It's a lot of fun actually, but you're right. 20 is a great number and it does make a difference. Number 3. Oh, that's 2. Number 3.
Focus on the process, not the prize. So philosophically, I teach something called One Perfect Podcast. So how do you get to episode 1,000? You do the same process, 100% correct, 1,000 times. And so often people will focus on, ooh, I want the new shiny object. I want there to be bells and whistles and all these different things. Let's just focus on the process. What do you need to do every single time to create one perfect podcast? And this is from you as a host, you writing a script, to the post-production, to the distribution of it, because there's a lot of different parts, or there can be a few different parts to success in this. And if you drop the ball on any one of them, all of a sudden you're like, why is this not working for me? It's because you're not following the correct process. And for me, this is the number one reason why you would work with someone who already does this, is to follow their process, because I didn't have a process to follow. I had to self-teach myself over a course of a few years, and it was extremely clunky. And when you're more process oriented, now you are more professional. When you're more professional, you're higher quality. When you're higher quality, you are more confident. So when you know what you're doing, it's a lot easier to produce an amazing podcast, because you're making it very formulaic and you're not saying, oh my God, I need everything to look perfect.
Yeah, the process is the key. It really, and I don't think there's an end to that. It's because there is always something. And then you get to maybe whatever is the highest level. Awesome. What got me here is going to get me there. So now we're going to go to the next level and you're going to do whatever. It really is a constant improvement process. So 100%. And frankly, I would highly recommend anybody that's thinking about doing it, do not waste the time trying to figure it out yourself. Why reinvent the wheel? Work with somebody who's already done it, who knows exactly what to do, who can say, here's the process. Make it your own. Now let's do it. I mean, you're going to save yourself 6 months or a year. And frankly, if you don't do that, my opinion is you may end up getting discouraged and lose the number one, which is the commitment, because you don't have time to reinvent the wheel, because that's time consuming, right? Number 4.
And remember what Ed Milet says, the bigger the dreams, the deeper the foundation. By working with someone who knows what they're doing, they allow you to build a deeper foundation that you can build upon. So now you're popping out high quality right out of the gate instead of years down the road.
Yeah,
just a quick aside.
A great point.
Number 4, yes, and this actually goes from my background in improv. And what yes and means is you are there to support your guest or your teammate. You're there to build upon their ideas. And this is so important as being a host. And I'm going to give you an example from my improv days. So we'll be standing on stage and they'll be like, give us a fruit. And they'll be like, watermelon. And I'm like, oh my God, this watermelon's so big. Let me put it in this wheelbarrow. And if Matt, you're like, that's not a wheelbarrow, that's a swimming pool, dummy, completely kills the scene. But if instead I'm like, oh my God, this watermelon, let me put it in this wheelbarrow, you're like, hold on, I'll get the pitchfork, I'll put it in here, boom. And you're building off the idea. The reason this is so important is because you are there to support the other person, your guest, and make them look great. So one of the reasons why I'm an amazing host is the second I go into a podcast, My goal is to make the other person look amazing. One of the best compliments you can get as a podcast host, and Matt, I know you already get this, is, man, you made that so easy, or Matt, that was so much fun. Well, why is that? Because you're supporting your guest in this. So yes, and.
Yeah, it's really true. And it is so much fun when I do these episodes and I know the person that the guest, I know they're having a good time. I can tell because they loosen up, they share information that's personal. Like, I frequently hear like, wow, like I never say this like out loud to other people. I can't believe I'm saying this right now. I love that because that means that the person's having a good time. They're comfortable, they're open, and they're just like, they're creating and they're flowing. So it's a great feeling. Yes. And number 5.
Let your heartbeat shine. So one of the beautiful things about podcasting and content creation is your ability to build relationships and transfer energy. Remember, energy is transferable. You can hear my voice. You can feel my voice, or you can see it. So allow your heartbeat to shine. I mean, Matt, even think about the example that I gave with the challenge in my life, that hopefully I took you to the moment when I'm sitting there on the floor with my wife and just everything is so tough. Boom. I'm opening up what's inside, because the majority of the world will not do this, because podcasting is such a differentiator. But Rob, there's so many podcasts out there in the world. Why would anybody want to listen to what I have to say? That is like one of the biggest loser questions ever. I get it. Everybody thinks it, but it's a misplaced focus, because it is your opportunity to give people into who you are and how you can help them. So allow your heartbeat to shine, because we no longer want to work with faceless brands. We want to work with people we know, love, and trust. And your ability to consume what we're doing from an auditory or visual standpoint is an absolute game changer, because I guarantee someone listening or watching this right now knows a lot more about me, having listened to what we've done so far, than they did before this started. And let that be the example of what is possible.
Yeah. I mean, in other words, there's the vulnerable side of people, right? And so we walk around with the ego. We have this facade up, many people all day long. And the reality is, getting on and being vulnerable and sharing true, honest, authentic, interesting information totally resonates with people. It does. And so letting it shine is this, it's to me, I'm hearing the same thing. It's like, and for me, when I started doing this, each episode, the more I realize, let me just be me, and let me not try to be something else or try to have a certain like feeling or certain vibe, and let me just come on and be like, all right, I got Rob today and we're gonna talk. It's much easier when you just be you, just do you.
And Matt, that's why you need to get to episode 20, because it takes a feeling out process of like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And you keep feeling, not you, but just like, we're all rigid in how we're doing this. And then you quickly realize, you're like, wait a second, we're just chopping it up, having conversations with awesome, amazing people that then become our friends. And now I say, hey, Matt, how can I help you? How can I make introductions for you and anybody else out there? So back to your ROI question, starting a podcast has been the greatest relationship building and networking tool on the history of the planet for me. That I have had the head of the Super Bowl planning committee, the CEO of Barstool Sports. I had David Meltzer, the head of Sports One Marketing. Well, no, Erica Nardini. Well, Portnoy is the founder. Nardini is the CEO. But why is that? Because you give people a reason to want to talk to you. You can send cold emails till you're blue in the face, or you can be the one person who's like, by the way, do you want to come on my show and talk about how awesome you are? Guess what? Everybody loves to talk about themselves. So of course, I'm just paraphrasing that, but that's the reality of it. So just a quick aside.
All right. Number six.
And as Tim Grover says in Relentless, label all of these number 1, because they're all the most important thing, even though we're giving them 6 to you. Number 6, live in action and do not stop. So this is philosophically the way that I live as an entrepreneur, but also as a podcaster who's attached to my dreams. That one of the blessings for me has been, I've done this over 1,000 times. It's like, whoa, how have you done that? I've done it one episode at a time for 10 years. So if you don't stop, great things will continue to happen. So many people quit before they see the results, before the fruits of their labor. They think that somehow because I've done 12 episodes, that all of a sudden Sirius XM is supposed to be like, hey, I heard you on those 12 episodes where you were terrible. I want to give you a Joe Rogan contract.
Here's $100 million. That's it. For your 12 episodes.
Exactly. So let's look at Joe Rogan as the example. If you wanted to become Joe Rogan, you're like, that's what most people want. Cool. Well, let's start with this. You're going to start with a career in stand-up comedy. So make sure you tour the United States. After that, make sure you're the host of Fear Factor, and you do that for a while. And then you're going to do some NBC shows. Then I want you to also be the side or the announcer for the UFC. Then we're going to get the Joe Rogan show where people might care about what you're doing. And Joe does this for years before he gets to where he wants to go. Guess what he did? He did not quit. He lived in action every step of the way. So when you realize this is a tool in your tool belt, why would I ever stop podcasting? Because of my ability to connect with anyone I want in the world, create growth in my life, and have a positive impact on every single person who comes near me.
That is the highlight of this show right now. I'm telling you, that was very powerful. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and these are straight up like to address people's, well, what about this? Or what if this? Do you need a lot of money to start a podcast?
$0. All you need is action.
Okay. Do you need expensive equipment?
$0. If you have an iPhone or a computer, that's all you need. Even though one caveat, I do recommend if there's one thing that you do buy, have it be a microphone. Audio quality is important. You can buy a $99 or less Blue Yeti microphone, which is used by a large majority of people, and be good. So really, for less than $100, you can get a microphone and you're golden.
There's nothing that would prevent somebody from doing a show other than themselves. That's all I'm hearing. That's it.
100%. We want to make it all convoluted and difficult. It's no. Are you committed? Do you want to make this happen? And if so, make it happen, because that's the narrative in your life and my life. We make things happen, and we don't stop until we make things happen. So you can create anything you want in your life as long as you don't quit.
You and I both follow a lot of the same people. We both belong to a group called Arete Syndicate. A couple of weeks ago on one of those shows, I heard Andy Frisella talk about, somebody asked the question, what do you do if you're on a treadmill? What do you do if you're stuck? His answer was take action. And it's so simple. I mean, it's not simple for a lot of people, but the answer was so simple. 2 words, take action. And that I'm action oriented just like you are. But when he said that, since then, it just planted it fresh in the front of my mind. Every single time that I find that I'm feeling like, we lost an account. You know, the fear creeps into your mind. It's always there. It could creep into anybody's mind. The fear of losing business, the fear of not having enough money, the fear of not getting leads, whatever. His answer is take action. And the funny thing is, the second you take action, the feeling changes. The feeling turns from fear, worry, anxiety, any of that, immediately turns into an uplifted, positive feeling where there's momentum because you did one thing. You took a step and you took action. And you got to do the same thing if you have it in your mind that you have something to say, you have a voice, you have ideas, you're creative, and you want to do a show outside of your full-time job. You want to do something on the weekends or whenever. You take one step, find somebody to help you and do it.
So,
right or wrong?
You're 100% correct. So what I always like to say is action over excuses. So here's what I would like you to do if you are thinking about a podcast, or really this is applicable in everything you do in life. What I want you to do is to write down all of the excuses for why you cannot or are not going to launch a podcast, or whatever it is, the thing that you want to create in your life. Write down all of your excuses. Now that you've written down all of your excuses, congratulations. Don't do all of those different things because it's just an excuse. It's a reason for you why you're not doing it. You have just created for yourself the blueprint for what not to do. And so many people just aren't aware of it. But if you can be growth mindset enough to say, listen, I can live in my own judgment. And when you get to a certain level, you will learn that one of the best gifts you can give yourself is to recognize your judgment, excuses, and self-limiting beliefs. You write them down and then you transform them and then use them into power. So when you're not taking action, you say, all right, well, what's up with that? Can I forgive myself? Because I would never consciously say, Rob, you're such a loser. You're not taking action. No, I'm going to create a declaration for this. I am abundant action. Boom. I'm going to now make this part of my being. And you can just go through each of the different things. I don't think anyone cares about what I have to say. Well, what's the more powerful thing? I can impact the world. All right. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. What's the difference? I know what I'm doing at all times because that's what I'm choosing to do. So we want someone to validate why we're doing what we're doing. But if you want to be truly great, you are your own validator. You are your own coach. You completely have everything inside of you already to be as successful and create everything that you want. Just start by auditing all the limiting beliefs. Now you know your blueprint for how you can transform yourself to be the more powerful version of you.
And listen, other people's validation or seeking other people's validation is actually, that is the limiting belief because most people are too scared and they have too many things holding them back with their own beliefs. So what are they going to be? They're going to be naysayers. You know how many people I had when I first had the idea of doing this? Like, why are you going to do that? Why are you going to put time into that? Better yet, I own real estate. I own rental properties. Why would you want to be a landlord? Why would you want to get the phone calls with the toilets that are stuffed and the leaky faucets? Why? Here's why. Because I'm building wealth at a pace 10 times what you're doing, because my beliefs aren't limited. And so like, you got to tune that out. Like you cannot listen to other people's limiting beliefs and seek other people's validation. There's a reason that you and I and other people like us are set apart from the pack. And what we're saying to everybody right now is set yourself apart from the pack. Live your best life. Find your voice. Put your voice out there. People want to hear you, and do not base it on what other people think, what other people say, because they don't want you to do it. They're going to be jealous. They're going to find every reason to tell you not to do it. Do it because you want to do it. And you just explained it really, really well. It's exactly right, man.
So Matt, I am both relatable and completely unrelatable. I'm completely unrelatable because I am on such a different level than 99.9% of the world because of the things that I've learned, the choices that I've made to create myself into who I am. I am completely relatable because I started at zero. I've been dead broke living on my credit card. I know what it's like to not have podcasting, to hate my job, and not waking up every day enjoying what I'm doing. So because of that, I'm qualified to help people because I know what it's like to transform yourself. And I had to figure it out on my own. So I wanted to share that if I can do it, it is completely possible for every single person because I had zero, no knowledge, no nothing.
I don't know how anybody could watch this show to the end today and not be like jumping up and down, jumping jacks, push-ups, inspired, like ready to go blow it up. And we're gonna finish with that because that is the point of the show. And this is awesome. I mean, how your energy is infectious, like it's contagious. And I mean that in a good way. It's probably a bad word to use during the current climate, but it's an awesome, like really, really awesome infectious energy. And this is it. We're supposed to be inspiring people and helping them, and we want people to reach their potential. So that is what today's show is about, specifically with podcasts and specifically with how do you do it? How do you get that off the ground? And in the spirit of growth mindset, which I believe a big part of that is embracing change, pivoting, and like just going right into the next endeavor. You made a couple of big changes. You picked up and you moved from one part of the country to another, and you didn't miss a beat. You have a life-changing event that's going to happen any day now, right? Your entire life is changing, and it's nothing but growth. Now, And I know that's how you see it. Like you're about to have your first child, right? And on top of that, you just moved, and like at the same exact time. Who does that? You do that, and people who are running into the excitement and see the opportunity, they do that. And if you're thinking about doing a podcast, you should do it. And that's the message.
Yeah. Live by design, not by default. This
Right.
is the life that I designed. And here's another thing for you. Prepare for what's difficult when it's easy. I did Andy Frisella's 75 Hard Mental Toughness program, as well as the entire Live Hard Mental Toughness program, right during the middle of quarantine and pandemic in Chicago. And why did I do it? And I remember sitting there on Siesta Key Beach in March, and I was listening to Andy's podcast for the second time, and he said, I guarantee if you do this, 75 days is a small price to pay for you to become the best version of yourself. And I was like, I'm not interested. I was like, it's about to be Cubs game in Chicago, street festivals, partying, vacations. And then this little birdie said to me, he goes, Rob, how can you say that you are all in on your life and your dreams? And right here in front of you is this thing that guarantees that you will be the best version of yourself ever for the rest of your life. You're telling me you're not going to do that? And I was like, shit.
Oh,
I was like, for the reason why I did not want to do it is the reason that I did it, and it completely transformed my life. So that prepared me for this series of events, moving from Chicago to Florida, buying a house, having my first child in 6 days without me even realizing it.
on that note, thank you for coming on. And I want to say that anybody who wants to work with you, reach you, all of your information is going to be down below. We're going to put all your social media, telephone numbers, contact, everything that you've got. And listen, I work with you. I highly recommend that anybody who's thinking about doing this, reach out to Rob. The guy's a rock star, and he'll help you get it going. Something else along the way that he and I have talked about, and I end every show with, is you've got to do the work. You have to be humble. You have to hustle. That's what it comes down to. And in the end, you're going to reach your potential and you're going to find your success. Rob, is there anything you want to put out there before we end this?
Yeah, the way that I'm going to end this, I believe in you. You can do this. Matt did it. I did it. If you say there's no one else around me that's going to support me, remember this moment right now. I am a champion for you. I believe in you. Great things can and will happen. Take action. Create the world in your image.
Yes, I'm doing push-ups. Hold on. This is great. All right, man. Listen, thank you. Thank you again. Awesome conversation.
Thanks, Matt.